that Norfolk screwed us up, and he was an idiot, the guy.
Okay, you said we're ready to go, Lydia.
Hackworth?
Yep.
You can hear me?
Yeah, is it Barry?
Yes.
Hi, I'll be in your town tomorrow.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Great.
I'm coming to speak at the Medal of Honor thing on Saturday.
Terrific. Where's that going to be?
The Illinois Vietnam Veterans Leadership Program is putting it on.
Oh, neat.
I think it's the Holiday Mark Plaza.
Okay, I know where that is. It's not bad. Well, at least you'll be in Chicago. For the interview, would you care to be called Hack or Colonel?
Hack.
Or?
I prefer Hack, Barry.
Okay, Hack. Well, let's start out by asking, The Odyssey of an American Warrior. To people who see the title, they're going to think that this is a book about a hero story, or what is it about in your words?
I think the book is about war. It's about the futility of war, and it really tells a story how America has never been prepared for wars during my experience. And what I wanted to do was to lay it out there, lay out the Cold War, lay out my 3 years in Korea, my 5 years in Vietnam, and let the American reader learn the truth of what happened in those wars, let them know how badly trained, how badly prepared, and badly led we were, so we don't make that mistake again. The thing that frightens me more than anything else, Barry, is the generals that ran the war in Vietnam, the Westmorelands and people like that, the staff officers like General Davidson and Harry Summers are starting to write books and deliver the word to the American people that in Vietnam we won all the battles but we lost the war. And that's a lie. And what they're saying is that we lost the war because the politicians, the press, the people didn't support the war, the press lied about it, and that's not true. We lost the war because those very generals who are now revising what happened didn't know what the hell they were doing. And what I'm about is to put that lie to rest so young Americans in the future don't get stacked up on another future battlefield because we're not ready and we haven't learned from the past. And I don't think we've learned a thing from the past. If you look at Panama, it tells me that nothing was learned from Vietnam. There we used a great force, 25,000 soldiers to round up one guy, or 25,000 cowboys in this great posse to round up one bandito, Noriega, who, sad to say, was on the U.S. payroll for 20 years to the tune of $15 million, and many of those checks signed by George Bush. We need to learn from the past, and Panama is just, in a little way, Vietnam all over again. And I don't think that Americans are very introspective, and if we don't realize what has happened before, then we're going to make the same mistakes tomorrow and the next day. We've got to get it right.
Dealing with, for a second, the film by Oliver Stone, Platoon, do you think that played it in any of the ways it was truthful? Or, I mean, are you offended by that movie and its portrayal? Or?
Well, I spent 5 years in Vietnam, and I never saw that. I think that Oliver Stone has done the veterans who fought that war, the toughest war America's ever fought on the ground, a great disservice by portraying them as he has. Those who fought that war were magnificent. They paid a terrible price in a stinking war that was brutal and cruel, and I think that Oliver Stone should not have made that movie as he did, because it just doesn't honor the warriors that fought there, and they should be honored. And I think that if we recognize that the great pain that our veterans are carrying from that war, they came back expecting to be received as heroes, and they were received as murderers, and they were spit upon and called baby killers, when the anger of the people should have been devoted to the politicians, to the generals in charge, not the pawns of the war. And I think that Oliver Stone has badly treated the veterans, the true heroes of the Vietnam experience.
Now, after your book came out, has the government and the Army suddenly, has there been hostility between them and yourself?
Well, there's always been hostility between me and the establishment, because I've always tried to tell it like it is. I think that my books had a hell of an impact on the military. It's well read by active military. I've talked to the Chief of Staff of the Marine Corps, the Commandant of the Marine Corps, the Secretary of the Army, and a number of other bigwigs, and they're looking at the book, and they're certainly drawing some lessons learned from it. And I think that it's had this effect that I've been about, is to put an end to the lie that we won all the battles, this Westmoreland kind of story. And it's had an incredible effect, Barry, with the veterans of the war. I've received about 2,800 letters so far, mainly from Vietnam veterans who say, hey, thanks for telling it the way it was, thanks for telling the truth, thanks for telling me it was not my fault. And it's been an incredible catharsis for me as the writer, but for a lot of readers, which has been in itself a very satisfying experience for me.
How did you get through writing this emotionally? It must have been very hard.
Well, I had to relive the damn war day in and day out. At night I'd have nightmares, and I think especially about Vietnam. Korea was not that difficult for me, but Vietnam was, and I think that those of us who fought there, a day doesn't go by where we don't have a flashback to that war. And the good thing of writing the book was I got it out of my system. I got out the anger, the bitterness, and the need to be vindictive. And what I'm about now is to try to help those very veterans who served our country so well in that cruel war, that difficult war, and to tell the truth to the American people so my son and the future young Americans will not be put into a situation like Vietnam. We don't end up with another black monument in Washington, D.C. with 58,000 names etched in marble of mainly young men who've died in vain.
Now, would you like to go a step further? I mean, would you ever consider taking the book and making it into a film or a TV series, or would you be afraid of it turning into another China Beach or Tour of Duty?
I have a lot of interest. As a matter of fact, Oliver Stone has been interested, and I've told him I'm not interested. Clint Eastwood has been interested, and I told him I wasn't interested in making my story a shoot 'em up. If somebody who'll tell the story straight and true, where it can be an effective vehicle for learning, I'd be all for it. But if it would be another Platoon or a horror story, I don't want it.
Perhaps you could direct it yourself.
I don't know. I might give it a go.
Why not? Tell me about what made you actually decide to write this book. I mean, why now? Why not 10 years ago, 15 years ago?
Well, I wanted to go through very carefully the experiences and the emotionalism of the time. I didn't want to be all hyped up with the sour grapes of Vietnam. I wanted to be able to be mature enough, to have thought it out well enough, to be able to tell a story that people would understand and it wouldn't be loaded with bitterness. And I was kind of prompted into this with Ronald Reagan calling Vietnam a noble war. And those of us who fought there, who carried that black rifle, the M16, certainly know there was nothing noble about Vietnam.
And what's the future for yourself?
I'll continue to write. That's my main interest, and continue to speak out about military affairs and continue to be a kind of a burr under the saddle of the U.S. military machine to make sure that they get it right so young men don't die in vain.
I hope that doesn't happen either. I appreciate the time, Hack. It's been an honor interviewing you.
Well, thank you, Barry.
Thanks a lot. Bye-bye.